Crypto Trend Trader here with an update on Bitcoin. But before we get started, I'd like to remind you this is not financial advice. I'm not your financial advisor. These markets are extremely volatile, so please do your own research and trade responsibly. So here we have our Coinbase chart. This is a 4-hour. And as you can see, we have broken out of the channel on this chart here. And we started to form an uptrend with a higher swing low. And that was prior to breaking out of the channel. We broke out of the channel, came back down, retested the breakout point, and now we are moving to the upside. We've taken out the high of the previous little like swing push up here, and now you could even go as far as to say this is a third swing low here. So now taking the green line here, that was our first like parabolic move, like the parabolic trend line. The second one is the green line here. And as you can see, we've been holding that as support, and every time we've come down to it, we've gotten a powerful move off of it. So as we start to come down here and the oscillators cool back off, it's the same time the TJD, TD MACD is going to curl back down, and we're going to see if we get that powerful reaction bounce up here and then continuation for like essentially what would be like a third wave up off of this here, or if this is going to come down and retrace, come down here and get like a longer time frame, more solid retest, and then get a powerful move and bounce up here, which would come into line with basically the previous peak of our breakout point, and then this would be like the retest of that peak. One might call this the retest, but often like an immediate test like that will give you continuation, but the like stronger retest is going to give us like the actual like confirmation. So this is the continuation of the break, and this is the confirmation of like the strength, and then we would essentially like come back up here, probably consolidate and keep putting in lower high or higher lows, and then break and get a measured move to the upside. And one thing we do have to keep in mind is, obviously we can't get completely bullish or completely bearish at this time. We did definitely break out of this channel, depending how you have it drawn, but definitely on this chart right here. And we're breaking out and moving to the upside, and now you'll see we're coming into contact here on the daily with the simple moving average, and we're just underneath it, but we just have to be careful because that's exactly what we talked about before we came up here. We were finding it as resistance, we found it as support, and then when we came up, found it as resistance, got rejected, it came back down based from underneath the 377 and the 528, and then came back up and couldn't get back above it, broke back down again, and then couldn't get back above it, and eventually capitulated. So what we have to be careful here is we came up here, we got above it, it got rejected. We come up here, we could potentially, if the same thing happens again, this is essentially our strong consolidation was above this red line here. So when we broke down below here, we came back up and tested it as resistance, and we busted above it, but we couldn't hold it, and then we sold back off. And then now we're coming back up to test it to see, is it still going to be resistance? Are we going to be able to break above this now or not and move to the upside or not? So breaking out of the channel is good. That's good. It's definitely good. That's definitely a good sign. But more reliable to the entire market and much more like consistent in all trading is a horizontal support or resistance. And this is a very, very strong spot where it was support and now it's resistance. So what we need to do right now is break through here and get it come back down and then retest it as support. So we need to break through this 200 simple moving average and then consolidate on top of it. And when we do, that's the final indication for me and for most of the market probably, as we take out this high on a longer time frame and start closing up here, that we are in fact going to move to upside and then potentially take out this high and then potentially take out this time high, the all-time high. But this is how it starts, you know what I mean? This is how it starts. This is how everything starts, with a small little pattern like this, breaking out and then consolidating and then breaking out and then moving up, and then the market gets more and more confident, and then slowly but surely it attracts new people, and then that's how you get new all-time highs. That's how you get more money in the market than you've ever had before. And it could be now, but we don't know that yet. We need to be very careful here, because often what happens in this situation, often what happens right here is everyone gets extremely bullish, but the measured move has played out. The head and shoulders, inverted head and shoulders has played out. It's unreliable pattern in a downtrend. So this is the bearish scenario, is we come up here and we retest this resistance and fail. We fail to break above it, and it does act as resistance, and it confirms to the market that we're not ready to move to higher prices. We hit the 200 simple, come back down, hit the 200 EMA. It can't hold us up here, and then we sell back down, start retesting the bottom. We have one more chance to essentially put in a higher low than our previous swing, and then a test back up. But again, if that fails, we're going to come back down here, and then we're going to potentially test this low, and that we're going to confirm that this was not in fact our swing low. Right now we're hopeful that this was our swing low, that was our swing high, and that this is going to be our swing low, and then we're going to go up somewhere else and put in a swing high, but that we're going to move up and put in a swing high and confirm this was our swing low. As of now, we can't do that. But if we break above this point here and we start taking out our previous highs that are notable swings on the market, it's going to be very clear that we are in fact moving to the upside and potentially going to change this trend back around to bullish. So there we have it. That's the bearish and the bullish trend. You know, it's a decision point right now, folks. I mean, it could go either way. You know, I think, well, honestly, what's going to happen here, and this is my opinion, not financial advice, I think what we're going to do is we're going to consolidate here, and the market's going to look for where the strength comes in at. Do we get the strength and the burst to the upside above this, and then can we hold it? Or do we just capitulate and sell back off? And I think overall right now the sentiment in the market is bullish. So I think it's possible that this could be extended for a few more days and we could get a big push up here. We don't necessarily just have to get rejected without touching the 200 simple moving average. But I think the most important thing to watch right now is these parabolic support lines, these parabolic trend lines. You know, they're small on a smaller scale, but on the daily, they've been respected and they're very important because they represent the micro swing lows of this trend, okay? So right now, this is the micro swing high of like our trend down here. This is the next relevant swing high to us, and that's what we're going to try to come up here and take out. But right here, this represents like our micros of like just this little move up here, this little move up here. So the last thing we want to see is this yellow get broken. But prior to that, the last thing we want to see is this green get broken. So if this comes down here and we get a reaction, we burst to the upside, it's going to look real good. But if we come here and start consolidating, what's probably going to happen is we're probably going to put in a flag pattern right here. And that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, honestly, we've seen it happen 1,000 times. We're probably going to flag out right here, and then depending on which way the market, you know, wants to go, we're probably going to get a spring in the opposite direction. We'll get like a spring up, a test, and if it gets rejected, we'll get sent straight back down to the 200. And vice versa. We'll get a spring down here like it's going to break, and then if that gets rejected, bought back up, we'll get a shot straight up here and we'll break through this. And then hopefully we'll consolidate above the 200 simple. And that's my honest opinion. That's not financial advice. Please do your own research. I am Crypto Trend Trader, and this is our Bitcoin Daily TA.